Hello everyone in YouTube land, it's me, the Ginger Squatch, back. Actually, I've been working on a piece of acrylic sheeting to make a motherboard armor for the system. Figure, at the very least, give it some even if it's the slightest bit of protection, if I were to have a leak. If one of the maybe one of the rings didn't seat properly or something of that nature, try to at least make it to where it would run down the acrylic sheet instead of just drop down onto the board. But the biggest thing that I need to figure out is I need to make a water block for these two guys. These are the dual Southbridge chips. They control the 12 SATA ports and the 4 PCI Express by 16. Now, the two blue slots are actually electrically by 16, and the two black are electrically by 8. Then there is support for 8 USB ports. No, actually, I'm wrong. There's support for 8, 10, 12, 16 USB ports. There's 4 here along the one side. No, that is that USB, I believe. No, that's actually the old COM connector. So it's, oh dear Lord, the heat's getting to me. It's 85 degrees where I am and extremely high humidity, nearly 100% humidity. No air conditioning at the moment, but there's 4 ports on the back, and then there's 2, 4, 6 more along the bottom. Now, granted, yes, it does have the old, what is that, IE 1394 connectors, but what I end up planning to eventually do is put in a a PCI Express USB 3.0. Now, granted, the system is also going to have cooling for the, let's see, that is the wrong way, cooling for the power regulation chips. Oh, come here. No, that's on the wrong way. That goes that way, I believe. But nonetheless, once I get things figured out, once I get the armor plate finished, I also have some small aluminum heat sinks that I plan to put on some of the individual chips, like the old VIA VT6308, and then some of the other control chips. I can't remember what they are at the moment, but yeah, I figured that I would give a update on the progress so far. The biggest thing is getting this guy finished. I still have the breakout panel for the front control and the USB header cutout that I have to finish. And then I also have to bring this edge in more for the SATA. But yeah, then once I get it all straightened out, I'm going to actually trim the entire thing down so that way it matches the more or less dimensions of the motherboard itself. This is what I've gotten so far. As you can see, I got the motherboard armor done except for the I/O cover. But everything is cut out for all of the main components. I even have access to the BIOS chip. I have heat sinks on main heat generating components, and even if there is anything else that generates heat, I have a gap that will allow airflow. So this has been actually rather difficult to make, especially the thin plate that goes between the RAM slots, considering the fact that around these capacitors the acrylic became extremely thin. So it's taken me quite some time. Now the only thing that I have to figure out is I have to come up with a water block for the dual chipset and power regulator chips. So let's see, put that back into place. But yeah, all the PCI Express and PCI slots, SATA ports, everything has been cut out. Openings for all of the capacitors to poke through. Even have space around the processor's VRM to allow for airflow, and have the processor water blocks set up. So yeah, it's coming along nicely, although slow because I'm working with hand tools to do this. Nonetheless, it's been tedious but rather rewarding. To go along with the rest of the motherboard armor, I have went ahead and made this complicated little guy, which still needs paint. And for anyone that is wondering, these are actually just S-Cool water blocks. Little $13 water blocks, but the wings have to be cut off for the other socket, for the standard AMD socket, and then a plate has to be put in place. Hold on, let me turn the light on. Plate has to be screwed in place to go across in order for the single mounting screw to actually hold things down. And the water blocks on the VRM are just 80mm water blocks, and you have to do away with the original mounting bracketry. Let's see here. Give me a moment. Ah, here we are. That's why. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference in the length. You have to make a much shorter bracket. And then you also have to make a bracket for the CPU water blocks. Now, I am going to try, to put, if I can get the BIOS, which I actually have a cutout to be able to have access for the BIOS chip. If I can get the BIOS to work, I'm going to try the other 23 series processors. These are the ones that I have now are 2360s, and they're yeah, not the greatest, but quad core, so it's 8 effective cores. However, if I can get the BIOS to mod properly, I want to try to put 2393 3.1 gigahertz quad core processors into the system. Or if I could, if this socket was actually capable of supporting it, which I believe it is. I believe it has mainly to do with BIOS. If I can, maybe even get the 6-core Istanbul processors to work. Alright, so I've got to go paint that up, and I'm also going to paint the back plate for the I/O shield. So if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a comment. If you didn't like it, leave a comment anyway. And if you want to see more, subscribe. I'll keep cranking them out for you guys.